Good evening, everyone. My name is Shubhabrata Nayak, and today I'm going to start with the discussion of vocabulary drills. So, what is that vocabulary? Vocabulary using with the Greek word voc, which means words or speech. We all know that vocabulary draws with the words and their meaning. If you have a very good knowledge of vocabulary skills, or you can say that if you have a copious knowledge of vocabularies, then you will be able to think any sentence. But if you have a scanty knowledge of vocabularies, then you cannot even dream of any sentence. So, with the thought of that, I have planned to introduce many of the words, and I'll also follow different ways to through which you can learn the vocabulary. So let's go for the discussion of it. So the first thing is called as a vocabulary learning formula. So what are the formula that we supposed to follow when we are learning vocabulary, and why these vocabulary formulae are necessary? Because we all know that means words that we mug up, words that we try to repeat and remember it. So it stays with us for a day, or means for 2 days or for 3 days or maybe a week. But after that, what happened? If we do not use or practice of that word regularly, then it evaporates from our mind. So, and we know that vocabulary is a kind of a means uh, learning process that helps us in any kind of a question types come out in English language, whether that's a reading comprehension, or you talk about grammar section, or you talk about variety of question types where vocabulary plays the important role. Now, generally, we find out that in vocabulary we have a variety of questions which are individual based and users based. The problem pertain to us when we go for the individual uses of it. Let's say that if you talk about synonym, antonym, or you talk about analogy based question, or you talk about fill in the blanks, or dictionary reference skills, or you talk about misspelled words or correctly spelled words, or you have a problem of uh, question types that refers to one word substitution, or you find out phrasal verbs, idioms, phrases. So there are numerous list of vocabulary based question come, and for that, all a candidate need is to learn, practice, and use it every time. And to remember it, uh, one has to follow the different methods, so that in a very short span of time, one that maybe he or she can means you can learn it in a bulk manner. So therefore, means I have come up with all these tricks that we supposed to follow, or that a candidate supposed to follow. So the first one is called as a root word. So what is that root word? Root word is nothing but the Greek word. Root word is called as a basic or a lexical form of the any of the head word. So generally means a candidate who have a very good knowledge of root words. So one time he or she can learn bulk of words, or can connect one with the other word, maybe not in a means exact manner, but in an indirect approach. So second one is called as a prefix. We know that prefix is referring to the word that uses before the mm, any of the root word and make it as a one of the means a head word. Second one is called as a suffix, which is used after the root word. Collocation is called as association, so where we use one of the head word with the or one of the difficult word with the ordinary word, and try to present it before the student. The next one is called as a mnemonic. Mnemonic is a one another process through which We try to learn the vocabulary in an alphabetical manner or forming a word and try to learn it. Then the next one is called as a group words. So group words are known as the synonym groups or maybe antonym groups. So another one is called as a tone. Tone, we know that whether a word brings with the idea called as a positive tone or a negative tone or a neutral tone. So parts of speech is indicating about the word that you learn, whether it's a noun or pronoun or a verb or adverb or an adjective or it's a conjunction. So a candidate must know that. And if he or she knows it, then he or she can use it in a sentence and can present it before the means before the before anyone. Then the next one is called as a sentence formation. So using with the word, we form a sentence, right? And we try to remember it forever. Well, let's begin with the our first word. The first word is called as bolstered. So what is that bolstered is all about? Bolstered is a verb, right? And the word bolster, which group word you would find out around it. Like the first one is called as a beer, then after brace, buttress, then carry, then after you could find out sustain, prop up, shore up, underpin, stay, uphold, support, and undergird. So even you can learn these words in a means a mnemonic process that called as a beer, brace, buttress, carry. You can remember like a B, then after C, then after you can go to the means S like sustain, shore up, stay, support. Then you can talk about underpin, uphold, undergird. So all these words you can talk about are the synonyms or the group words of the word called as a bolstered. Now, if you, I must say that you have understood the meaning of the word bolstered. Now, if I go for the meaning of it, then it's called as a provided with added support, right? So when you give some kind of a support to the others, let's see that what is the sentence we can form. I snuggled down into the heavily bolstered seat. So here bolstered is used as an adjective before the seat. I snuggled down into the heavily bolstered seat. So the word bolstered can be mm, used as a verb, and also it can be used as an adjective. So therefore we can talk about I snuggled down into the heavily bolstered seat. So which means called as a means provided with padded support. Okay, let's move to the root word of it. If I talk about the root word, so what do we find out? Now we find out the root word of this word. It's called as a it's a Greek word, right? Greek word, and the Greek word of bolstered is coming out from bolster, bolster, which means called as a pillow or cushion, right? So this is what the idea about the word called as a bolstered. I hope you must have remembered it. So once you watch it, once you follow this process, right? So then you can point out that the appropriate way to remember it using with this sentence in your own sentence that you form. Okay, now coming to the next one is called as a clustered commiserating. Now, if you observe that the first one I gave you one, the second one I gave you two, two words. One is called as a clustered, and the second one is commiserating. Let's see that what is the meaning of clustered. The meaning of clustered is called as a abbey, prairie, hermitage, monastery, and priory. So these are called as a group words. So then the next one you would find out, which is called as a commiserating. So commiserating is the verb which means sympathy, feel sorry, empathy, and condolence or condolence. Right? Now, if you talk about this, what do you find out actually? Means clustered, which is called as a solitude, and commiserating, so which we know that express or feel sympathy or pity. Express or feel sympathy or pity. Let's say that the sentence is formed. She went over to commiserate with Shushma on her unfortunate circumstance. Right? So it indicates about means uh, expressing expressing her sympathy with Susma on her unfortunate circumstance. So, if you talk about clustered meaning, that called as a enclosed by or having a cluster. Enclosed by or having a cluster means you make yourself in a one particular place, making yourself as a solitary, right, or isolate or lonely. Like you can say the monastery was where the brothers would cloister themselves to meditate. So the monastery was where the brothers would cloister themselves to meditate. So the word cloister coming out from the Latin word which means Claudia, right? Latin word which is called Claudia. The meaning of Claudia is called as a lonely. Similar to that, the word commiserating, which is called as a Latin word miser. From there it came. So in that case, you understand the meaning of miser is feeling sorry, right? So that's all for the today's vocabulary one. I hope you remember them, and I hope also means they help you to guide you up means good knowledge about the vocabulary. So stay tuned with me for the next means list of the vocabulary that we are also going to discuss in our next class. That's all for the day. Thank you.